Hello, and welcome to our group presentation of our marketing plan for the company Victoria's Secret. We were asked to choose which market would be the best fit for Victoria's Secret from a list of 5 different countries. These countries include Australia, Mexico, South Korea, Finland, and Vietnam. After extensive research of each country, our research team decided that Australia's market would be the most appropriate for Victoria's Secret. Australia was chosen due to many similarities its market has with that of the US, in which Victoria's Secret is already successful. This includes Australia's thriving economy, which allows its citizens to have more disposable income, its tolerance and open mindedness towards sexuality, and its higher degree of gender equality. Australia's demographics also played a role in our decision. Its population is approximately 25 million and is growing each year. Because of its aging population, its median age is 37.4 years old. This entails that the majority of Australian women fit the target demographic of Victoria's Secret. As for Australia's economic factors, it is currently in the high mass consumption stage of its economic development. The mining boom that occurred in 2012 has recently begun to wind down, and thus its high growth has leveled out. The market growth rate of Australia is at 2.8%, and its middle class makes up a majority of the population at almost 60%, meaning that most of the population is well off financially. As mentioned before, Victoria's Secret's target market consists of adult women ranging from 20 to 39 years old. This demographic makes up for 17% of the country's population, of which has a growth of 1.7% each year.
Now to talk about several historical events from Australia. To start, in 1788, the first British settlement is established in Sydney with nearly 800 convicts and is the start of the British colonies, which is made up of mostly prisoners. Then, Christian churches receive large amounts of monetary aid in 1830 that leads to the growth of Christianity, which ultimately becomes the nation's primary religion. Australia is also known as the Commonwealth of Australia. They separated from Britain and became independent nation on January 1st, 1901, but were still allied to Britain during the World War I. During Australia's golden age, that comes immediately after World War II ended. That is when Australia began to move away from British culture and got closer to the United States, and they became major allies during World War II. This led to Australia becoming more tolerant of cultural diversity, and that led many immigrants into the country.
Hall's 10 primary message systems. Edward Hall argued that the way cultures communicate to themselves and others can be broken down and analyzed by 10 primary message systems, or PMS. These systems are rooted in biological activity and are all interrelated. The 10 PMSs that Hall defines are universals, meaning every culture deals with them and the way that culture reacts to them defines the difference between, let's say, Australian culture and Indonesian culture. Careful analysis of the 10 systems is an integral part of the new country expansion because it helps Victoria's Secret strategize an effective entry plan and promotional mix once in the country. Utilizing Hall's primary message systems helps Victoria's Secret to position themselves as a cultural friendly company. This will in turn make the Australian citizens perceive Victoria's Secret as a more approachable company and they will be more willing to make business with the company.
From Hall's 10 primary message system analysis, association is a key factor as Australians hold a firm position on giving everyone a fair go. There is very little disparity between genders, and in fact, equality is a primary value that Australians hold extremely high. They surround a lot of their lives and day-to-day functions with mates, meaning friendship. Also, as explained in the modern genie, coefficient of 34.7, Australia is quite egalitarian, meaning there is no significant wealth gap between genders. Another significant element is procreation. Australia follows the values of a Western culture. There is no existence of arranged marriages in Australia. The Australian culture is very open and is much like the United States. Sexuality at any time is accepted and at times appreciated. Hofstede developed this theory of cultural dimensions when he noticed key differences between cultures while doing studies on various nations. To Hofstede, culture is a collective programming of the human mind that distinguishes the members of a group from those of another group. Or better explained, culture is a deeper level of basic assumptions and benefits that are shared by members of an organization. After defining the dimensions, each dimension describes the effects of the society's culture on its values and what behaviors those values translate into. This theory has helped our research team understand the Australian business environment, so that when we enter the foreign market, it will be so in a way that is detrimental to the goals of our team and Victoria's Secret. Australia is a well-developed country gaining recognition in the world economy. As Australian culture is an example to the world as the nation has exceptional unification of different cultures. Australia has a diverse culture and lifestyle that reflects its democratic traditions and values. The social cultural influence of millions of immigrants who have settled in World War II has made this country great. For Victoria's Secret, this means understanding how to communicate, negotiate, manage, and market the products in the best way possible to achieve and sustain a successful international expansion in Australia. As for Hofstede's cultural values, their most significant cultural value is their long-term orientation and the short-term orientation, as Australia ranks as more of a short-term orientation culture because of their constant desire for the truth. Australians are widely regarded as blunt and straightforward, and they do not work around the truth.
So what does the analysis of Australia's cultural dimensions mean for Victoria's Secret? Well, these cultural dimensions happen to rank on the same levels as the US with some minor variances. Because Victoria's Secret was founded in the US, expanding into a country with similar values and behaviors diminishes much of the risk associated with expanding internationally. However, it is highly recommended that Victoria's Secret should pay great attention to Australia's long-term orientation dimension due to the fact that this is one of the biggest differences between the two countries. Australia's normative culture likes to uphold its traditions. Therefore, if Victoria's Secret isn't careful about this, it could cause a poor initial reception, which could in turn cause a failed entry into Australia's market.
Australia and the United States share many things, like language, a history with the British, and a fascination and relation with old Western films. They are very open to immigration and open to being influenced by foreigners, which means they are high in tolerance and they value the equality of everyone. They are very willing to accept and try new things, and very accepting of other people's ideas and preference as consumers. Also, Australia is a sports crazy and outdoor activity nation that is
70% of general shoppers are women. Generally, shopping is concentrated in the larger cities of Sydney and Melbourne. The main driving factor in Australian purchase decision is the price. Increasing interest in quality products and authentic brands, meaning they have a high value for brand name products. Despite the economy slowing down, there is no desire to cut back on their lifestyles.
As for product decisions, implementing Victoria's Secret into the Australian market, we would retain the current branding strategy and utilize Victoria's Secret brand value and recognition during the new market growth stage. The iconic color scheme of pink and black is essential to brand recognition, and there will be no need for local product adaptation. As we have mentioned before, Australia has a market similar to that of the United States. The product line strategy will be introduced in Australia as it is in the United States, which is undergarments but with an increased focus on sportswear lines.
Now we move over to the marketing mix. For pricing, we can retain the current US pricing strategy and adjust for currency difference. Since the US dollar is stronger than the Australian dollar, we can also invest more capital when we transfer our business over there. For placement, we can use e commerce websites, department stores, franchise locations such as malls, specifically outdoor shopping centers, supply chain logistics, which utilize existing clothing distributors until proven success, and manufacturing in neighboring countries. For promotion, we can push the brand at the Fashion Expos Now, which is Australia's premier fashion buying event. We can also use the Retail Quarter Melbourne, which is another trade show where wholesalers gather to view fashion, jewelry, and accessories. We can push we can use a push strategy which incentivizes retailers and or salespeople to meet sales goals. We can use online advertising, especially on social media and other sites targeted towards the younger population, to present the brand and reach younger audiences. We can also use email newsletters and present the brand at billboards. We can also use coupons, rewards program that work through the smartphone app. We can give free samples of its beauty products. We can use all of these promotion strategies to establish the brand within the country.
The budget plan that we have created for Victoria's Secret has been divided into 4 categories: production, transportation, advertisement, and labor. For the budget plan, $2 million was allotted to production, $475,000 for transportation, $6,250,000 for advertisement, and $3,400,000 for labor. This comes out to a grand total of $12,125,000 for Victoria's Secret's budget plan for marketing in Australia.
The research team concluded that Australia is a good fit for the brand because of the product diversity that Victoria's Secret sells, including swimwear and their sportswear, because Australia is a very active country in that a lot of its citizens partake in various forms of physical activity, especially water sports. Victoria's Secret also has a multiple channels selling strategy, which works in Australia because Australia has both physical stores and online infrastructure. All of these reasons are why Australia is the perfect fit for Victoria's Secret. Thank you for watching.